Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Teach, Sleep, Repeat. My name is Dylan.
And my name is Hayden.
And this week, we'll be diving into our final week of teaching before we quit and reflecting on all the highs and lows of our career.
We're going to talk through the exact moment that we knew it was time to quit.
And ultimately, whether or not we think that we've made a mistake jacking it all in. But first, Hayden has been teaching sex ed. Okay, Hayden, it's the end of term 6. You're in upper key stage 2. That means only one thing. You've been teaching SRE. Not to be confused with RE.
Yeah, it's not a special RE. it's not
Super RE.
Super RE. The kids are like, yeah.
It's Jesus with a cape on.
Super Jesus. Yes, we love this topic.
No.
No, kids, I'm really sorry, actually. It's not that at all. We're going to be talking about sex and relationships.
So you've been doing this, what is deemed by a lot of teachers to be probably the most awkward set of learning that we have to give the children. How's it gone?
I mean, if we're talking about how it's gone in general over my career, I think it's become less awkward for me.
Right.
But the kids, however, that resets every year because it's a new cohort. I do find that it is completely different, by the way, every year. You'd think there'd just be kind of a set level of awkwardness. Some year groups, way too big for their boots, right? They stroll in like, yeah, know it all already, didn't I? Don't worry about it. I'll teach it, Mr. Stevens. You know what I'm saying? You get that attitude.
And they actually don't really have a clue.
Don't.
They just think they do.
They know a few innuendos, a couple of words. And
they've seen a video online and they think Sigma's something.
yeah, literally, right? And then you get other year groups, and I had it a bit this year, a bit more like very white-faced, sheepish, like, oh, I don't think I know, like, I don't think I want to be here, actually, in learning about any of this, to be honest. Please don't talk to me, actually, ever again. I had a bit more of that this year. So, you know, I'm in my element because it's hilarious. Because as a teacher, like I've done it many, many years now, I just see it as basically like a science curriculum. And I even say to the kids sometimes, I'm like, look, guys, if you're feeling really awkward about this, just try and remember that we wouldn't bat an eyelid about learning about anatomies of other animals and things in biology.
We probably would if it was a penis of an outback. we probably would. Let's be honest. I think it's specifically what it's about rather than.
That's true. Actually, there's not many times I put a fish penis on the board. So when we're learning about undersea creatures.
Wait, sorry, do fish have penis?
I don't know. I said that and then thought I have no idea.
No, they must do.
No, they lay eggs.
I don't know. What? Do you think if you lay an egg, then you don't have penises?
That's true.
Where do you think they come from?
Yeah, true. That's true. I don't know. Maybe. That's a good point. Dylan. I'll take that on board.
Oh, fish can't have penises. They lay eggs.
You're exposing me.
We go 10 years of sex ed. That's done well. What have you been teaching our kids?
I just told them that humans lay
eggs. And then
eggs.
the female every month lays an egg.
Yeah. And actually, fun fact for you, in the human species, the female eats the male afterwards. They're just like, no wonder they're like passing out, going like being sick. Oh,
so we've established your limited knowledge on this. I did want to ask you, with your lack of experience in this in general, how do you teach sexual education?
Like, thanks, Dylan. Yeah. Well, actually, no one challenges that anymore because I've had a child now, Dylan. So
right, okay.
I actually only did that to prove that I've got some experience and I'm worthy of teaching it. So,
did you get any children genuinely who obviously they're in sexual education and talking about biology, very much about biology and just like the functions of, you do a lot of puberty, right? Because children will be going through puberty at that point, but you do a small part on reproduction, right? So do you get any children after you've taught them what reproduction is? Obviously, you break that barrier, guys. This is just a biological thing that happens because we need to have children. Do you get any children in your class who say to you, haven't you had a child, Mr. Stevens?
Not
as if to say, wait a minute, you've done this.
Hang on a minute, you gross, disgusting man. What have you done?
But is that awkward? Like, because I don't want the children to be thinking about all that kind of stuff.
Do you know what? Most years, no.
Yeah.
I've had the odd comment over the years, and it's never crossed the line. I've never actually had to say to a child, well, that's inappropriate. Like, don't be commenting on my personal life. I'm sure I've had the look from some kids as like their brain has gone, like 2 and 2 has come together.
Because you obviously, since you've had a child, there's only one way that a child is made, and children are very clever and they put things together.
Actually, Dylan, in our lesson, we talk about how there are lots of different ways that children can be made, and it might not necessarily be from sexual intercourse. And we talk about IVF and all these other things.
Okay, good. So, I was waiting for you to say something extra, like an egg appears out of nowhere. Actually, talking about Ari, immaculate conception. I just looked at the belly, bing, and it was in there. Actually,
one of the kids did say to me, they were like, so what is a virgin? Because obviously we're a Christian school and we called it the Virgin Mary.
Yeah, Virgin.
So what actually is a virgin then? And so I have to answer that question. You get all sorts of questions.
I mean, that's good though, right? Not really something I've ever considered, the fact that it's the Virgin Mary. I bet a lot of kids just go through school thinking that's her first name.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they don't even put anything together as the fact that that's because it's special, immaculate conception.
Well, they must do, because literally none of them knew. Like, I had like 40 odd boys in there, 45 boys. And like no one could answer. Cause sometimes when someone asks a question, other kids are like proud to like, oh, I know this one. I know this one. Like, but they're all just like waiting, like, what is it then? What is it then? It's like as if we've not been using that term since they were in reception.
That's crazy. And because a lot of, especially like ultra religious people, might have a problem with this being taught. So you've been talking about the Virgin Mary since your child was 2? Like, don't you understand that that's got a direct link to the fact that she did not have these sexual relations with anyone? When you do questions and stuff, obviously it's a big, you see a lot of it online where people are saying, I just put these anonymous boxes, these pieces of paper just to try and like cut through the awkwardness. Yeah. Is that something you do?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So like not all kids want to put their hand up and ask a question. You know what I mean? Sometimes, in fact, most commonly they'd like to write it down. You do get the odd child who is brave enough, like especially when it's the first one, right? The one that breaks the seal when you're talking, they put their hand up in front of 45 other kids and ask a question, that's awkward to them. But what I always do, and I think this is good practice for anyone that's doing SRE, is I'll always just stop for like 30 seconds and just big up that kid to the rest of the kids and be like, right, can you put your hands up if you were also thinking something along the lines of that question as well, but you didn't really want to ask it? And honestly, 25 hands go up every single time. And I stop them all, I say, right, look around. Okay, well done you for asking it. So please don't feel like embarrassed that you're the only one that didn't know this thing, because look, there were 25 other kids that want to know this as well.
And now, kids, I'm going to tell you all what morning glory is. Thank you for asking that really good question.
Can I tell you something so funny?
Go on.
Someone literally asked me this year, what's morning glory? Literally asked me what is morning glory this year.
Their parents must be going to the Oasis concert or something. They must have heard it somewhere. It's a really nice album.
It's a really lovely album.
I don't know if it's an album or a song. Please don't write into me, Oasis mega fans. I'm so sorry if I've done anything to insult you. Did you tell them?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because you got to, right?
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't find much of it awkward, but probably the most awkward bit is, we do just follow a scheme, by the way. So I'm not just sat there right, I've gone home and planned these lessons myself. Come on, lads.
That's an objective, to know what wood is.
Literally. That comes up every year as well.
Really?
Every year. Because obviously I think the term morning glory and morning wood is obviously funny, right? And they hear it and they're like, what is that? And then I just think, once I've explained an erection, really fun conversation, they just, again, they say, what's wood? I was like, think about it.
Yeah.
Why might that be called that? And they're like, oh, I get it now. And then
it makes a bed.
No, do I really have to explain this? Again, something really funny this year is I had to move rooms at one point and tech stuff, right? And I went into a different room and I was setting up my slides again, getting it all back on the screen. And there was another, in fact, our librarian, who is a qualified teacher as well, she just being really friendly. She just helped me escort these children and just keep them busy for like 30 seconds whilst I got all the tech up. And she said, right, come on in, kids. We've all been through it. Don't be embarrassed about it. Tell me what you've been learning. Whilst Mr. Stevens gets his board ready, what you've been learning. Come on, tell me something. A few hands go up. And one of the kids literally put their hand up, right? And I was thinking, super sensible kid at the back. So this is going to be a good answer. And not, make me embarrassed. Said, well, we've been learning about erections and wood. And because obviously they just had this conversation where they were talking about other names for things, and I was, I'm not gonna tell them that like
there are no other names for things. Don't talk about that.
Names. It's only called a penis. It's only called a penis. Yeah. And I was thinking, oh my god! Like, and so this librarian was like, all right, thinking, what on earth? Yeah. She's obviously thinking, what on earth are you doing in these lessons? If that's what the kids erections and wood, that's about it, really. Oh, I thought these lessons were on puberty.
That was SRE and DT, so it just is.
Link it in, honestly.
I know there'll be some people listening right now. Obviously, this is funny. We know it's part of secondary school. We know kids have to go through this. And I think it's really good that when your body is going through these changes, to be able to be taught and know what's going on. Like, even in the opposite sex. Like, I remember becoming 15, 16, 17, and honestly not really understanding the ins and outs of the female body and what it was. And through no fault of my own, I don't think. I just wasn't told about it at all. So I do think this is really important. But then, I think there's a line between puberty, what happens to your body, pure biology, and maybe then moving into reproduction. Clearly, there's a line that's a step up. So do you think it's fair enough for parents to choose what their child is taught? Are there slips that go home? Should every child just get it regardless as to what their parents think? What's the line for you?
I think it's a tough one, because I can have my personal opinion and then I can have the kind of overarching, at the end of the day, it's like, it's not my child though. So I'm happy to be vetoed. Do you know what I mean? So my personal opinion is, we put it in the curriculum for a reason. Like I remember back when we were younger, there was quite a surge in like teenage pregnancies and things, and there just wasn't much education around sex education, I don't think, and that's kind of why I think it was Channel 4, I think, were commissioned to do a ton of stuff on sex education to actually teach kids so they're a bit more informed and can make decisions knowing what's going to happen, like the consequences.
But there was a lot of pushback as well. I seem to remember at the time of parents being like, "My kids shouldn't know about this if we're just teaching them how to do it then, and then maybe people will do it more because they know about it when they didn't before."
Yeah.
That's tricky. That's tricky because there will be some children who, like you said, you had a bunch this year who had no idea and now they know. So you have told them things they didn't necessarily need to know yet when it comes to reproduction. So, and I know there'll be some people who knew about it anyway and are now more informed, and it's always better to have more information.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, like when a parent thinks my child's not quite ready for this yet, it is different to learning about mixed number fractions, isn't it? Or, Henry VIII in the past in your history lessons.
Yeah.
Do you think it's okay, whether you would or not now, moving away from your opinion and more into a professional standpoint of delivering education syllabus, that it's okay that a parent be like, I want them out of this lesson?
Yeah, absolutely. I think ultimately it's their decision. Genuinely, it's their decision. It's actually not my decision at all. I think on a whole, it's probably better we should, because it worked, by the way. Even though parents were like, have pushback 20 years ago of like, oh, we shouldn't be telling them because now they know how to do it and they'll definitely go and do it. That wasn't true. Actually, the numbers came way down. It was a huge success teaching children younger about sex and how their body changes and things. So I do think it's a good thing. But ultimately, if a parent came into me and said, my child's really not ready for this, I'll have this conversation with them in a year or two when they're ready. I'm not going to be like, well, actually, no, because it's part of the curriculum and I think I need to deliver this lesson about testicles to your child. Like, obviously not. I'll just be like, okay, fair enough. So the parents do have that ultimate decision. I think they should have that ultimate decision. But I'll always be more on the side of, oh, let's do it though. Like, let's teach them. Let's educate them on their bodies, particularly puberty, to be fair.
I completely agree with that. I think that, to be fair, I'd say you kind of need to get over it, and we're going to teach the children the anatomy of the body they're in.
Yeah. So I'll give you just a chat about puberty because I think it's really interesting.
Oh, thank you. Please tell me more.
Because I think you don't know much.
No,
and I think you need to be enlightened.
Yeah,
actually.
thank you.
You said you didn't learn about stuff when you were at school about sex and things. Obviously, you probably still don't know. So I can if you want to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
I know people listen, but if you want to do it outside the podcast,
that's fine. Don't worry. We'll do it in front of thousands of people.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. We'll do it outside the podcast. It's all right, mate. I don't want to embarrass you.
Okay,
it's awkward in front of people. But puberty, right? So at our school, and I think it's the same at a lot of schools, we have the kids mixed for most of the lessons in this SRE topic. But when it comes to puberty and we're talking about like specific changes through the body, we do separate the kids. And a lot of people go, what do you mean separate the kids? The boys need to learn about the girls. We all do the same lesson. We just separate them so they can feel a little bit more open to the idea of asking questions and maybe not worrying about I sat next to someone of different gender who might like be like, what? That's weird. I don't have that.
Yeah.
So, and it does work. So when we separate the boys and girls, we teach them about both genders equally.
Right.
But they just have a bit more of a safe space to ask about things. And we do find that the girls end up talking a bit more about like periods, and the boys end up talking a bit more about their own stuff.
I wonder why.
Yeah,
of course.
Obviously.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah.
I always say to the kids, and again, this is me just with my opinions on teaching SRE, and I think this is so important. And I always teach the boys. I think it's so important that we do a proper, huge chunk about the girls. We don't just gloss over it like, oh yeah, the girls have periods and stuff. Let's crack on with the boy stuff because you're boys. I always say to the boys, it's 2025 at the moment. You cannot grow up being ignorant of half the population and how their bodies are changing.
Absolutely.
Girls are not going to want to be your friends or your boyfriend or girlfriends or whatever it is if you're just completely ignorant to their needs and stuff. Like, you shouldn't be going at something just because you don't know about it. And the boys are always like, oh yeah, because it's really immature, isn't it? Otherwise, it's really immature to be like that. Like, I don't want to be immature. I don't want to be immature. And the girls equally learn about the boys, right? And then I always say to the boys, this is something that happened this year. I was like, so we're going to be respectful, aren't we? You're not going to go up to the girls and be like, we learned about periods. That's gross. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. And then what did the girls do outside in the playground? The boys come into me saying they're being disrespectful because they saw a video or an animation or a picture or whatever, something to do with like boys having erections, because that's part of it. They were coming up to the boys and going, whoa, like this with their hand. And I was like, oh my God, no. So I had to take all the girls aside. I was like, you know how it'd be really annoying if the boys all like started taking the mick out of something you can't even control? Can you not do that to the boys as well? Because otherwise this is just like, it's just ridiculous. It's so important to say it, I think.
Yeah, completely. And that knowledge is key. Like, you just, the more you teach about something, the more you talk about something, the less awkward it becomes.
Yeah.
That first 5 minutes, whenever you do SRE, is that time where the kids are smirking, they're laughing, they're turning to each other. Oh, my teacher's talking about a penis. Oh, isn't that funny? And then immediately it's like, yeah, I am. And they're like, ha ha ha. And you just keep going, yeah, I'm talking about penis. And eventually they go, oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. And then you teach
Oh,
the
it's not
lesson.
funny anymore because you said
Exactly.
it 42
Yeah,
times.
because it's an appendage. You have an arm.
If you were teaching SRE in year 6, I know you've not actually taught SRE in year 6 before.
No, I've taught in year 5.
Yeah, so to be fair, it's probably the same sort of thing. So what's your opinion on when kids smirk and laugh
Oh, I'm not bothered.
in the class?
Yeah, completely. They're going to. Are we going to pretend that it's not funny for a 10-year-old who's heard this taboo subject that's never been talked about beforehand, and it's like, oh, can't say that word because as a society we just have this weird aura around
like a taboo.
Yeah, it's just not, saying the word penis. If you walked into a classroom and said the word penis, children would smirk and laugh.
Yeah.
If you walked into a classroom and said the word arm, no one would bat an eyelid.
Yeah.
Because obviously it comes with so many extra connotations and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but if I'm teaching SRE, I'm not going to walk into a room and say, right guys, we're going to learn about how a penis works today. And if a child started laughing, me go, excuse me? How dare you laugh at the penis? No, just let them do it. Let them get over it. Almost give them a couple of minutes where you're like, okay, go on then. What a penis? What do you call it?
Yeah.
What's another word for it? What have we heard it called before in our language? And there's always 10 different things you call it. And you just get them to get over it, get out of their system, laugh about it. And the difference comes if they're being rude, if they're being misbehaved, if they're turning around, disrupting their friends. That's part of a lesson culture that we have where we don't do that. Don't misbehave. I understand if you can smirk and you're a bit awkward. Obviously, I'm going to tell you off for doing that.
I agree.
I just simply, I think it's part of the process of teaching SRE is breaking those barriers down. And in doing that, children will be smirking and laughing.
Yeah. If something's awkward for me, I smirk and laugh.
Exactly.
It's quite a normal reaction. And I say that to the kids. Like I'm glad you said that because I also try to make the distinction between that line where it's like, yeah, you can smirk because it's awkward. But if you turn around to your mates and start being like, going like, wee, and trying to get them to laugh, now you're just misbehaving. You're being rude. Like, yeah, you were awkward, but you don't need to turn it into bad behavior because you're feeling awkward.
Yeah, definitely. Well, talking about feeling awkward, you had some visitors.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I have to say about this, right? So normally in the school, we have visitors come around all the time. Very, very standard. This week, though, when I'm teaching sex ed, I don't really want like visitors with young children coming around to view, perspectives to view the school.
Of course.
Obviously not. We're teaching sex ed. So what happens, Dylan, right, is I'm in the middle of teaching in my lovely puberty sex ed lesson, and the kids sort of go, oh, Mr. Stevens, and they can see out, there's a little window, right? They can see, our head teacher's coming with some parents. And I was like, oh no, not the time. Surely he knows. Surely he knows this is like the only time really it's inappropriate to like be bringing parents and kids into this classroom. And what does he do? Opens the door, comes in, say, this is Mr. Stevens. He says, it's a bit of an awkward time. I said, yeah, a little bit. I turn around. What's on the board? Massive picture of a testicle. 45 kids staring at a testicle, head teacher with some parents I don't know. Luckily, Dylan, it wasn't parents at all. Our head teacher said, oh, no, it's just some visitors from a local school. Like, we have a connection with this school. They were just coming around to see what we're doing. I knew what you were doing. I wouldn't have brought parents in there. And I'm like, yo, thanks for telling me, though. I would have liked to have known. So, yeah, hilariously awkward. The kids, it was so funny how the kids knew, though. They knew. They were like, oh, no, this can't happen.
This is not appropriate.
Yeah, because the rules at the start, which is quite sweet, actually, because I do say to them some rules at the start of like, this is we didn't teach this in year 5 for a reason. Like you cannot go out to the playground now and be sharing this information with younger children. Otherwise, we would have taught it to them at this point. Like
teach very much good. Have you taught them how to do tests as well?
We would have teaching it to the children.
We're teaching them that fish don't have penises.
Yeah, they can learn that, but they can't learn about puberty yet. So we just have that generic rule. So it's nice that they were aware. Like, oh, someone's about to come in with younger children. They can't be here. Also,
get the testicle off the board.
Massive testicle on the board. We're just saying about how sperm flow through the testicle. Probably not something appropriate. Yeah. Good times.
Oh, brilliant. Those same people came through my classroom, actually. They're really nice, really lovely people.
What was on your board?
All that was on my board was some very hastily written silent reading, because I just wanted the kids to come in quietly. I always do that. Nothing on the board. I'm like, silent reading. When you write something on the board but don't say anything, it's hilarious how when one person notices, the whole class like, shh, look at the board, look at the board, look at the board. Mr. Bryce has put something on the board, guys. And they go quiet so quickly. So they're reading. And they came through, obviously, and then later on I caught up with the head teacher. And I said, who are they? Like, because they obviously weren't with children. I'm used to children touring the school and maybe joining. And he was just saying about how they're all just local teachers who've come we're working with them in this group that we've got, etc. And they were really nice. They were lovely. They walked through. I like it when people come through my lesson. I actually do enjoy it because I want them to see the kids learning and happy. And I think it's a good thing.
And how good you are.
No. That's just like a byproduct, Hayden. It's fine. It's just a byproduct. If they think that when they come through, that's fine. Okay. But I like adults in the room because I just think it gives the children a chance to explain their learning and talk about it. I like to see that. Anyway, afterwards, he said, oh, yeah, before we went in, I said, oh, this is Dylan Price in this classroom, our maths lead. And then one of the people walking around said, oh, yeah, I know him from Top Dog Tutoring. He does the tutoring around here, doesn't he? And I listened to his podcast, actually. I follow them on Instagram. Wasn't he on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, my God. Your whole life. Is there anything else to you? Is that it?
I think that
someone
is it.
just summarised everything about you.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe I've got a child.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
but it was really funny because then I had a teacher in every interaction I've had ever since, knowing that obviously I'm leaving at the end of the year. It's like, you'll be all right. You've got your media career on the way.
Yeah, that's so funny. I bet. Did you feel a little bit smug?
Not smug. I feel awkward every single time. And I know when we do this social media stuff, we do this podcast with you guys, every single time that someone brings it up in a situation that's different. So, for example, in my school life, I don't know about you, when I'm at school, I genuinely, honestly, don't talk about the podcast or the tutoring or anything on the side. And I really struggle with the overlap. So when someone comes in and said, oh, you do all this, don't you? You do the podcast and all the tutoring and stuff on the outside and you've been on TV. I'm like, yeah.
Because you're in your teaching personality.
Yeah.
And like, that's exclusive.
I don't want anyone to think that whilst I'm in my teaching mode, I've got my mind elsewhere thinking about my tutoring, because I don't. Yeah. When I'm in my mode of teaching in school, I'm teaching to those kids. They're my everything right now. I want to help them as much as possible.
I do forget sometimes how hilariously awkward you are as a baseline.
Oh yeah.
Like, because we do this sort of stuff, and obviously we're putting on a bit of an act. Like, this is a show almost, isn't it? It's a podcast, right? But your baseline is so hilariously awkward around like in new situations or with people, or something just breaks that boundary that you set in your head that no one else knows about, by the way. Completely made up in your mind, and someone breaks it and you're like, oh God, it's horribly awkward.
Yeah, I can't deal with it. It's a word for it, I think. There is a word for it.
I think there might be. Yeah.
It begins with an A and it's not amazing. But yeah, I think it's very clear that I struggle with that kind of thing. Yeah. And people are just being so lovely. Those people walking around were so nice and I enjoyed them being there. But then just the idea that they said, oh, isn't that this guy who does this other thing? I'm like, oh God.
Well, yeah, but I'm not in that mode right now, so God. I can't actually interact with you. So I'm sorry, but I'm going back to teaching about fish penises. Goodbye, everybody. Can we do some silent reading in the class, please? Because I can't go with this. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'll go on Year 6 residential. Yeah. I got recognised.
Again?
By no, not again.
Okay. You're just regurgitating the same story about your amazing...
You've just immediately poo-pooed my story.
No, not poo-pooed.
You made it sound awful by saying again, and I said no.
No, I'm just exposing the fact that you got recognised once and you've dined out on it for about 5 years.
I got recognised one time on a residential and a kid said, are you that guy from YouTube? And I was like, yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. And I made sure all the kids in my class knew that that's what they thought.
Guys, what school are you with? What school? Yeah, don't worry, go and tell your teacher you come with me for the day. You're going to walk around and say, it's this guy from YouTube, please. You make a placard. Hold it up. It's the guy from YouTube. It's the guy from YouTube, because I'm going to talk about this for the next 5 years.
The most pleasing moment was when my class said, what did that guy want? I'll tell you what that guy just said. I will tell you all what that guy did. Everybody here, listen. This guy just recognised me from YouTube. I am your teacher, though, and I am famous.
The kids do think you're famous.
They did love it. Yeah.
Honestly, when you're fair,
we've got like 30,000 subscribers on YouTube.
No, stop it.
They'll make like a YouTube account with their parents' account, or whatever, and they have like one subscriber. Yeah. They'll be like, I got one subscriber, and I'm like, okay.
That's cute, kid.
Yeah, it's like,
watch my stats walk through.
Yeah,
30K, baby.
Yeah, literally.
You're not getting close to this.
But they do think that's like fame level.
Yeah, completely. It's not.
It's not.
That really clear to everyone. It's not remotely. Yeah. Right, let's play the jingle. I've got a little writing from someone I want to talk to you about. We always get messages in from listeners. Absolutely love it, guys. Go to our Instagram at Teach Sleep Repeat Podcast. Go to our TikTok at Teach Sleep Repeat Podcast. Send us a message because we love reading through them. Every now and then, one of them just piques my interest and is perfect for the show. I want to read it to you, Hayden, and see what you think. So we've got this lovely message from one of our listeners. Hi, Hayden and Dylan. Hayden first. that turned me off immediately, but I kept reading. Don't worry. I don't know if I'm just being oversensitive or if this is genuinely unfair, but I'd really love your thoughts. I've just found out that I'll be moving classrooms again for the 3rd year in a row. I've been in year 4 for the past couple of years and had to move last time because of a logistical thing that our school had to face, but now I'm being moved up to year 6, which means a brand new classroom. Most other staff are staying put. Some have been in the same room and year group for years now. and it just feels like I've drawn the short straw. No one's actually told me to come in over the summer, but the expectation is obviously there to move everything, get the classroom ready, and be ready for September. I also need to plan for a completely new year group because I'm moving to year 6. I know that I'll be expected to do SATs booster groups this year, as well as going on the residential. I've always been someone who says yes, just get stuck in, doesn't try and kick up a fuss, but this just feels a little bit unfair, like I'm being taken for granted because I'm capable and I'm someone who won't complain. I don't want to be negative, but I do feel overwhelmed before the new year has even started. I'm just wondering, is this normal? Should I just crack on? Or is it okay to push back a little bit?
Completely justified, isn't it? Like, even when they doubled, it was bad enough when they said they've got to move room and there's no time allocated for it. We can talk about that in a second. But when you've got other things like residential and the other bits they mentioned, I think it's completely justified to say, hang on a minute. There is quite a significant amount of extra workload here that is pretty much exclusive to me and maybe a couple of other people. I don't really think I should be required to just do it in my own time. Like we're teachers, right? We already all give enough grace. Like, seriously, if I had to come in one day in summer, I probably would just be like, okay, right. If I can do what I need to do in one day, I'll maybe go over it, right? But if it was 3 years in a row and my colleagues haven't had to do it once, and it was just expected that I came in and did that 3 years in a row, they're probably, I mean, me being me, at this point in my career, I'd probably purposely just not do it. And then September would start and I'd be like, cool, day one. My classroom's still in the old place. Like,
yeah, but here's the thing: you just wouldn't, because you're that kind of person. You'd say that, you would say that, and that's fine. And then you'd make that point. I think you'd push back. But ultimately, for your kids, and this is the problem I guess we face in teaching a lot of the time. I actually know that you wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
you would have your classroom ready for September, no matter what you said.
But I'd say it, Dylan.
Yeah, you'd say it.
Or I'd do some sort of hybrid. I think I'd be more confident now doing something where I'm like, do you know what? All right. The end of the school year, I'll move all my stuff out of my current room so someone can actually get in here, because that would be quite harsh on the other person trying to move into my room, because I'm like, nope, making a stand.
Yeah.
But I probably would not do my whole classroom. And then when in September, if they dared come round and do like a learning walk in the first week and pull the fact that I had no displays up yet, I'd be like, when do you think I was going to do that?
Yeah.
Please tell me. I find that with toxic SLT like that, if you just challenge them back and say, okay, what's the solution? Because there is no solution, they can't say anything. No. They either break the rules and say, oh, you should have done it in summer.
Teach standard 8, baby. You got to do everything that I say.
Yeah, that's true. But they either say, I tell you, oh, you do it in your own time. Or they realise they absolutely can't do that and say that, and then they're just stuck and like, oh, okay.
Oh, it just needs to get done though, doesn't it? Yeah, it does need to get done though, doesn't it? Because we've agreed this is the rule.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it does. Yeah. When do you want me to do it?
Yeah.
Then you just keep pushing back.
No, we need to do it though, Hayden.
Yeah, cool, when?
Yeah, just whenever you can, really. Let's get it done.
Well, I can't because I've got lessons to teach, so maybe next term?
Yeah, sure. No, it has to be done now though. So I understand you've not got much time, but it does need to be done.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, if I get some time out of class, I'll do it.
Yeah, no time, no cover, mate. I'm sorry that you've seen the state schools are in right now. There's absolutely no money for cover whatsoever. Sorry, I'm just getting a call from the executive CEO. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, go to your appointment. That's no problem. Yeah, no, it's fine. You've got no lessons to teach. Yeah, we just don't have time to cover you, I'm afraid. No. We have no one that could possibly cover you.
No. Okay, well, fair enough. Well, I guess we have to do the class another time, but I can still teach my lessons.
Another time could be after school today, couldn't it? Right. See you later. Bye. See ya.
Yeah, that is was we being satirical, but it kind of is the truth. Yeah, so it's hard. So going back to this person feeling a bit awkward and feeling like it's a difficult situation, 100% it's a difficult situation. Everyone's put in a difficult situation when it comes to just being expected to do work. Do you think, I actually want to know your opinion on this, because obviously it is part of the job, moving year groups. Like when you become a teacher, I don't think anyone expects to be like, cool, the year group I get put in first that's my whole career. I'm in year 3 this year. I guess that's it for the next 25 years.
Yeah.
Like we all know it's completely normal and reasonable to be moved around year groups. So what are your thoughts then on some people being moved and other people not being moved?
I think you have to just have it at the forefront of your mind when you make this decision, because this decision has been made. Okay. So I'm going to make the comparison to moving classrooms, because I think that's a preference, right? In terms of it can be literally you're within the same year group. And I've heard of schools before who simply want the classrooms in a certain order in terms of the form that they're in. It's like, oh, I want this to be in the order of blue and then green and then yellow and then red, because then it's the same as year 4 and it's the same as year 2.
Right.
And they're forcing teachers to move classroom within the year group simply so
not even moving to a different year. Yeah.
Right. That is like insane to me. And if you want to make that call, it's fair enough, but you have to build in time for teachers to achieve that. You can't just make that call and then they sacrifice days of their summer holidays.
Yeah.
That's wrong. But however, I do think you're absolutely right when you say moving year group is part of being a primary school teacher, and you do have to do that. But what I would say is that you'd be hoping to work in an environment where it's very normal that planning is shared. It's absolutely normal that planning's put on a shared area online for anyone to access. So, for example, I know for a fact in my school, if I needed to, I could go into the year 6 planning and use it. So if I was moving year groups next year and going to a different year group, there would be an established set of planning already there for me to access and use.
That's one burden kind of removed.
And that's fine. And I think my biggest issue with what this person's writing in to say is that I know there are schools out there where if she went to SLT and said, look, this is kind of unfair. My workload's gone through the roof. I've got to plan everything from scratch because there isn't that shared aspect of the planning, or you've made a rule that says you need to replan everything every year. And it's just not built in that, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to year 6. The other year 6 teachers have their things from last year and a starting point and I don't. And that means my workload's gone up a lot. I know there are leaders out there who will look at that and go, do you know what? That is unfair, isn't it? That is so unfair that you're doing more work than everyone else. 1 second, let me just put out an announcement to everyone. Hello, everyone. Well, we've got someone here who's doing a lot of work and their workload's really high. So I've come up with a solution. Everyone's workload needs to go up. We're not doing any planning now. Everyone needs to plan from scratch from the start now. Yeah. Everyone's work planning needs to go up. Everyone's workload needs to go up so that it's fair.
Oh my God. That you've given me a flashback.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember a time, this is really early in my career, where that exact thing happened, but with PPA. It was that's right. So we had like an inset day or for whatever, a bank holiday maybe, and like people on the Monday didn't get their PPA because we weren't in school. So the solution to that was not to rearrange their PPA to another time. It was to say no one gets PPA in this week because it's not fair. It's not fair that year 4 didn't get their PPA. So year 3, year 5, year 6, you don't get your PPA either, to keep it nice and fair and balanced. And I remember at the time being really new to the job, being like, oh, okay, I guess so. You just accept it. It's hard to challenge stuff when you don't really know the status quo.
Yeah, sure.
I was like, oh, I guess that's just a thing. Okay, I don't get PPA this week then. Okay, fair enough. We'll get a shorter week. I suppose I did get that bank holiday Monday off. I could have done it then. And you start going into that line of thinking.
No, let's establish this. This winds me up so much when people say, well, you had the bank holiday off, didn't you? So you could have done it then. Could have done your work. Then you had an extra day off, didn't you? You lovely lucky boy had an extra day off. No. There are 190 days in the school year with the children. If there is a bank holiday along the way, it's not an extra day off. It gets tagged on to the end. Okay. We have the same amount of work to do with the children every single year.
So let's make this really clear, Dylan. So let's say there was a year like there was a couple of years ago where we had an extra bank holiday, so the usual amount of bank holidays tagged into the middle of the year. How does that affect our school days?
Okay, cool. You get that time off, but it's tagged on to the end.
Right.
There's a statutory requirement by law that you have 190 days with the children. Yeah. That doesn't change. Oh, the bank holiday was in the half term. We get mugged off again. No, we don't.
Yeah.
It works both ways. Like, you can't get the bank holiday in term time and then be like, oh, aren't we lucky? And then get the bank holiday in half term time and be like, oh, aren't we unlucky missing out on the bank holiday? No, both wrong.
Yeah.
We get 190 days in the year with the children. That's that.
Because if that one in the half term, what in the holidays was actually in the school term, all that would happen is another day of school would just be tagged onto the end.
Exactly.
Your summer term, like, you'd just be going till the 23rd, not the 22nd.
Exactly
if you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly that. Why do you think it changes every year?
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, the dates change and things, and the start dates might change, but it's as simple as that.
So you're telling me, Dylan, when the king in Sax Week wanted to put a crown on his head and give everyone a day off, we didn't actually get a day off. It just got tagged onto the end.
Well, I certainly hope so after recording this whole part of the podcast that was the case.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm aware, 190 days are needed. It just gets rearranged and shuffled around a bit. Yeah. It's as simple as that. But for this person, ultimately, what I would say is moving classroom. I think schools should give teachers time to move classroom because that is fundamentally a choice that the school have made.
Yeah.
And it's not the teacher's fault that they move and someone else doesn't. Don't just suck it up. It is extra.
Yeah.
Give them time to do that. If I wasn't moving classroom and you were, I would be grateful that you got that time out, and I wouldn't expect it to be the same for me.
Of course.
I'm not doing that job, which is moving a classroom. And in terms of moving a year group, I think you have to build and establish a shared kind of body of work, or at least a team. Or if you can't do that for whatever reason, if you are moving someone, give them some grace.
Yeah.
Give them some leeway. If things aren't perfect straight away, it doesn't matter. I think a lot of amazing leaders do that. I think a lot of really good leaders would say, yeah, that's more than fair. Let's make this work. But I do need you to move classrooms and I do need you to move year groups. All of it can be fair. It's just when something in these situations is kind of taken for granted, like this person won't kick up a fuss and will just crack on.
Yeah.
Those people tend to have the mick taken out of them a lot more because it's easier for leaders to be like, well, they're not going to move you, are they, Hayden? If they're going to move you or someone else will just crack on and do it, from a leader's headache point of view, they're going to go for the other person every time. And that's also bad. And people like us and people who aren't targeted and people who aren't in there getting the short straw need to be the loudest, I think, in order to protect those colleagues who are. And instead of just going, oh, head down, ignore that, it's not me, so it's not me, I'll just stay out of this because I'm not, it'll be you one day.
Yeah.
So stick your neck out and look up for them and make sure they get the extra help they need.
Definitely. I agree.
Let's play the jingle and do what we're actually talking about. Oh, it's our last week of teaching.
Oh.
This is it, Hayden. We are in our final full week of teaching. And we're going to talk about our feelings, our thoughts, and ultimately whether or not we think we're making a mistake. So I want to get straight into your raw emotions right now. At this point in the year, we've made our decision to leave. It's on the precipice of happening. How do you feel?
Heartless, cold, couldn't care less. I'm a teacher, Dylan. Don't you know this profession is filled with people who are ruthless business people?
Oh, sure. Okay, let's get away from the TikTok comments so people have no idea what it's like. How are you actually feeling?
Yeah, I feel very up and down. Like I wasn't until basically this week. I was very cool with the whole thing. I was like, no, I'm confident in my decision. I've thought about this for a long time. I appreciate that I might feel a bit sad as I'm leaving, but I had a good baseline. I was pretty steady. Whereas this week, I'm like all over the place. I'm like, I'm flitting between that confidence to, oh my God, have I made a terrible mistake? Have I overestimated myself? Like, should I be doing this? I love being with the kids. This is such good. I'm never going to replace this. This is like the best thing I could ever do. And then I'll sit there in a staff meeting and waste an hour of my time, or I'll mark books for 3 hours. And I'll be like, oh no, I do hate this.
Yeah.
I do hate too much of this job now. It's like, it's not what I think it is. And I am just back and forth. Like I'm a bit of a wreck. You?
Yeah, I'm struggling to differentiate between how I normally feel at the end of a year. Because at the end of a year is an emotional time. You've made a bond with your class. You've been with them for a year. You spent a lot of time with them. And always at this point in the year, I do feel a little bit sad because they're moving on, obviously, and you've got to know them so well. I do think I'm a step above that, though, where I get even a little bit more emotional, I guess, in my head, because I won't get that chance to do that again, to meet a new class and build it up. And I think for me, transition day was weird. Not doing a transition day. That was odd because, again, that's always a highlight at the end of the year for me, is meeting your next class. They're all excited, like rabbits in the headlight, like eyes wide open, really looking forward to next year. And a few of the year 3 children who obviously have spent the year thinking, Mr. Price is a year 4 teacher, coming up to me and saying, oh, I'm so sad you're leaving. I wanted you to teach me next year and all that. Yeah. Like that's nice. And lying, it just makes you think that they're lying to me, making me feel good. But that kind of does make me kind of dip a bit and be like, oh, am I making the right call or not? But I get emotional anyway. You know what I'm like. I get like, I'm absolutely fine for ages. Then suddenly I'm just like, oh God, this is awful. I don't know what's going to happen. So right now, mixed bag of emotions. And I think the last few days will be tricky. My class are practicing Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. Right, absolute banger. But also when you listen to the lyrics and it's like, oh my God, they're moving on. And then I put it on for them to practice, and I was like, when I'm watching this in the leaver service, I need to walk out of the room. I'm gonna do. I don't know what's gonna happen. But thinking about, you kind of summed it up nicely there, where it's a roller coaster of, we didn't lightly decide to quit, right? And you summarized the good parts and the bad parts. What do you think when you quit you will miss the most?
I know the cop-out answer is the kids, right? But it is kind of rooted
but it is true.
That is true. Like, I know it's like a cop-out answer because everyone expects that. But I can go a little bit deeper, I think, because it's not just like just being with the kids. It's not just spending time with the kids, although obviously that is, like, if you're looking at all the bits of the job, that's clearly the best bit. That's why you're a teacher, right? No one got into teaching for the marking.
Yeah, to assess
or to plan lessons. Like, no one did that. They want to be with the kids. But for me, it's like there's particular, those special relationships you make with the children. That's the bit that makes me feel so good. And maybe it is from a selfish perspective of like what makes me feel really good. Of course it is. I knew you were going to say that. But those particular relationships you make with children where you know that you've made a massive impact on their life, right? And quite often it will probably be something subliminal. Like I doubt they'll remember that moment. But hopefully through your words and guidance and however you've consoled them if it's a sad situation, you've kind of planted a seed in their mind of like resilience or confidence, like how to think about something, how to tackle a problem in the future. And them being thankful for it, or them not even thankful, that's the wrong word, them wanting to even just share that with you in the first place is what like completely fulfills me. That's what I think I'm going to struggle without in my life. So I think I'll miss that maybe more than I realize. Like right now it's easy because I've got it. So I can be like, no, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I do think a couple of years down the line, there's going to be part of me that thinks, I really, really do just miss being that support for the kids and being there for them, making those special bonds?
You're making them develop in more ways than understanding how fractions work. That's the crux of it, right? Because ultimately we can spend the next chunk of our lives, and we will do, still making, videos to help children with their learning. Still got our tutoring going on where, you might work with children throughout the year. But ultimately it's kind of linked to mine. It's that community aspect of the school, that part of society where you're in, you are an established hub of help and support for children who need it the most and for families who need it as well. And being part of that machine, I think is very fulfilling. And when people say and point like teachers should do all this because they're teachers and it's fulfilling and it's nice and it's for the kids, they kind of have a point in that it is all of those things. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop pushing for, the rights of the workers and things like that. But they are right in terms of that is a really nice part of the job. And you're allowed to enjoy parts of your job.
Yeah.
And it can still be a job, even though it's a nice thing. And yeah, for me, it's that impact on the child, like you're saying. We've spoken before about how teachers actually have quite a small impact on the attainment of children through the quality of their teaching. There's a move there, and obviously it's good to be a better teacher, clearly.
But it's smaller than you think.
It's smaller than you think. And I really think that focusing on the social aspects or the emotional aspects of a child, that's where I've seen in the past so much more kind of like warmth inside of me when I notice that. Like that eureka moment in maths is great when a child suddenly understands what exchanging is. That's a good thing. But that moment when a child who struggles to kind of understand and control their emotions gets over the hurdle of understanding what anger is and why they feel angry and how they can react to that to help them, and how them doing that makes them more appealing to people sociably, rather than just throwing a hissy fit, hitting someone, moving up. No one's going to want to play with you anymore. Seeing them develop that and have strategies and improve and see their friendships blossom as a result, to me, that's the ultimate version of what I want to do as a job. And when I look back, it's those moments that stick with me. It's those notes you get from the child who say, "Oh, thank you for being so nice to me." That is ultimate to me, because to me, teaching, it comes with the territory that you're going to teach children how to read, their phonics, how to do maths, history. I do think that extra mile, and the thing that I appreciate so much are those moments. And when children know that you're there for them and can help them, I'm going to miss that, I think.
Yeah. And the fact that they actually choose you, because they ultimately don't need to speak to you. They can speak to someone else. They can speak to literally another kid. They can speak to another adult in the school. They can speak to parents, family, but they wanted to confide in you. They trusted you. And yeah, there is just something special about that I'm really going to miss.
It's when they're in different year groups as well. Like you said, like they've been with you, right? I taught year 3 for a year. And I really remember that class vividly, because one of the children I taught in year 3, when it came to year 6, obviously 3 years down the line, and this girl left, she came and found me and gave me a card.
Yeah.
And said, "Thank you so much. I was really worried about year 3 because obviously we're a junior school. I was worried about joining a new school. You were my first ever boy teacher," is what she said. "But you made me feel comfortable and you made me laugh and I learnt loads." And then I got a note from the parent as well. And I spoke to the parent and they said, "Thank you so much for what you did. It was amazing." But that was 3 years ago. And that's not a data point at the end of the year. That's making an impact on a child.
And she was in my class as well. I was livid. I was like,
right, who can I go to?
Sorry, can you come back, please? Don't talk to him. You're in my class. I'll have that card. Give me that parent. Give me that note. I'll have that note.
Give me that Starbucks voucher.
Honestly, ridiculous. Yeah, that was nice though. I actually remember seeing that moment and thinking that is really sweet.
Yeah.
Really sweet. So I think if you were listening to this, people would be thinking, what are you quitting then? What on earth are you doing? Like, you clearly love this job so much, and you're even suggesting that you might not be able to replace that fulfillment from something else. So let's talk about the opposite side then. What part of this job then, let's go back down to reality, I think. What element of this job reminds you that you are making the right decision right now to quit teaching?
A big thing for me was that I've been so lucky to work with unbelievable people. I think teachers in general, always are going to be some people out there saying, not all of them, okay. 99% of teachers are so nice. Like, to get into this job and do it for so long and care about the kids so much and get all those sacrifices that are built into providing the children with all these experiences and all this learning, they're really, really nice people. They're amazing people. And what really, really like kind of eye-opened it for me, an eye-opener, was seeing all of this, these lovely, amazing people who I work with, who simply cannot change their attitude and minds about the job. And what I mean is basically martyrdom.
Right.
Martyrdom of sacrificing their own lives for the job. And I always hated this kind of discussion because people push back, and I've had it myself where I think, oh, should we be making people feel bad for dedicating themselves to this profession? It's a lovely, noble thing to do. And my problem is when it impacts every single other person in the job.
Yeah.
I don't want to give up my weekends every single week to replan something from scratch that just simply doesn't need to be replanned. I can adapt things on the spot. I can be given a skeleton plan and teach children really well.
Yeah, but Dylan, 6 other members of staff in the school are willing to do that. So that's the bar now. Sorry, mate.
Exactly. And that becomes the bar. It becomes the expectation. And especially when you're in a system where you are like sharing planning or doing things together and you don't want to do that. You don't want to go and do 3 hours extra in the evening. You don't want to give up your time to go and do a residential. I'm not leaving my family to go and do a residential for free in a year group that I don't even teach. It's not going to happen. And anyone who decides to do that, all power to them. You decided to go in residential.
Yeah.
You literally decided to do it. And great. And do you know what? You should get some compensation for that.
But remember, I did it because I knew I'd get a loo day back.
Right, exactly.
If I didn't get the loo day, I wouldn't have gone.
No.
It was a fair trade, so I was happy with it.
Completely. But you've made that decision. And what I want to make really clear to people is I'm happy for people to work and do extra in a school. It doesn't bother me at all. I think it's amazing. I think kids get really good stuff out of it. I think it's great when people give up their time to do a disco. The kids love it, okay? It's volunteering in general, but you can't make someone do it. And I think that kind of aspect in a school, which is just the ultimate example, I'll finish on this, is the strike. Okay. In 2023, early 2023, when we started this podcast, teachers voted to go on strike. Most schools, either 95% of teachers went on strike or about 5% of teachers went on strike because there is that big chunk of lovely people in the middle who don't want to rock the boat, who will join the bandwagon and jump on and strike.
Yeah.
Striking to me is the top of it's the ultimate version of what you can do to make a stance about something. There's so much you can do before that and changes you can make and refuse to do in school to try and make small changes, which I feel like I've been trying to do for years now. So many people didn't do all of that, just jumped on the strike bandwagon, lost hundreds of pounds, came back off it when nothing changed because they didn't change their attitude to doing things. They were like, why has nothing changed? Because we need collective action at every single point of what we're doing, where we don't sacrifice for the kids, because I still think we can deliver amazing things for these children and teach really well without having to do so many crazy things that just eat into my personal time, into what is a job that I love, but is a job. And I'm just not going to do it. And no matter what we did, I felt like we couldn't make any strides in that whatsoever. So I'm like, cool, I've got to leave.
Yeah, it's like the system's so broken and you're trying so hard to change it. And people that want to change it still aren't changing it. It's like these people, like there's almost like 2 categories of martyrdom here. There are some martyrs who want to rub it in your face at how noble they are. And it's like, oh, that just, I find that toxic of like, well, I'm doing it, so you should. There are other people who kind of accidentally, like the people you're talking about really, who are lovely, who will stand up and moan and be like, oh, I've got loads of work to do this week and I really don't want to be doing this. And then when you offer the solution, they're like, nah,
they don't
want to do it. No, we got to do it.
We've decided.
So we've all gone on strike. Oh, brilliant. Oh, the government have actually now like fast forwarded a workload reduction task force, and they've actually come up with some new policy about administrative tasks you don't have to do in school anymore. They've actually gone ahead and like written it down in the clearest list you could ever see. Teachers don't have to do this anymore. And
don't have to do displays.
Don't have to do it. Should we do that? Nah, I don't want to. No, I don't want to rock the boat.
But it's nice for the kids to have
you
a
just
nice
went
display.
on strike, though. You went on strike to get this. You lost hundreds of pounds and like put your job on the line. Like people now perceive you differently because you went on strike to get this, and now you don't want to do the result. Like, what do you mean? So I agree. It's a really, really, really tricky thing to navigate, and it is a bit soul destroying.
Yeah,
when working the job and desperately trying to fight for everybody and they don't want to fight for themselves.
Absolutely, that it's just frustrating.
Yeah,
and it just gets to the point where you're like, okay, I actually have no personal problem with you guys. I think you're really nice people, but clearly we don't care enough about changing this. So okay, see you later. What's yours?
My one is very much linked to sort of the workload kind of aspect of what you were saying. For me, what reminds me that we're making the right decision is I can basically think back to any term of any year I've ever taught and think back to a time where I got really frustrated because we were reinventing the wheel. There was some element of my school life, my working life, where I was just wasting so much time because I'm reinventing something that's already been invented 65 times. We're changing this scheme for this thing for the 15th time. And it's like, I just can't do this anymore. And I look back and I feel I apologize to the teachers when I was an NQT, a newly qualified teacher, and I was sat there rolling my eyes at those older, experienced teachers who have been in the game for 10, 20 years, who were rolling their eyes at new initiatives and schemes that I thought were amazing because I didn't know anything any different. They were rolling their eyes because they did it 10 years ago. They had that scheme in 1995, and they're like, oh my God, like we've literally been here and done this, and I've just now got to do it all again and reinvent the whole lot again. And then do you know what will happen in 5 years? We'll scrap this, because the truth is, right, the curriculum is too broad. There is too much stuff to do, and we literally cannot do it all.
This is the thing. This is what I was going to get to, the crux of it. I'm going to put it back to you now, because I've been thinking about reinventing the wheel for years, ever since I got to like almost the second cycle in my career. Do you know when you're in your first part of your career and you think everything's new, so this is just what we do?
It's not reinventing, because it's your first time.
Yeah, for me, it's the first time ever. So to someone else, like you said, clearly it's a new fad. It's ridiculous. When it came around to the first lot of changing stuff, I remember thinking, okay, interesting. It seems to have worked what I've done, but obviously, okay, we're gonna reinvent this. Fine. Then the third reinvent, then the fourth reinvent, and what you very quickly realise is things change every single year, and there's a reason for that. The curriculum, we all agree, and this is kind of linking back to my point. I think our points overlap a lot. Every single teacher you've ever speak to will agree that the curriculum is too overloaded. It's too heavy. Like there's too much to fit in to the time we're given to do it. So when it comes to us focusing on something as a school, let's say it's reading. We're going to reinvent reading. We've got this amazing new concept that we're going to do, which we did 20 years ago, and then we stopped for a bit, but it's back now because we need to focus on reading. We're going to have, on every single time we have a reading lesson, there's going to be a slide up that says to the children they're doing retrieval, and it's going to be a certain color, because how else would they know it's retrieval if we don't tell them that we're doing retrieval today? All of this, just absolute, okay, fine, tick a box, fine, whatever. I'll put it in the corner. It's an extra 10 seconds of work, whatever. That's when it's new again, and it's new again, and it's new again. And here's the thing. We can sit and argue about how much of an impact that'll have. Okay, cool. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, yeah, just get on with your job, Dylan. Okay, fine, whatever. I'll just do it. What's annoying is then when we put all this time into fixing something, by definition, something gets dropped off. Let's say handwriting. We don't have time anymore because we're focusing on reading. 2 years down the line, we all notice handwriting's got worse. Reading's got better. We're focusing on it. We've got more time in it. That's cool. And maybe it did work. Handwriting's got worse though. So you know what happens in 2 years, don't you?
We scrap the reading thing and we do a handwriting. We've got a handwriting focus now, guys. We haven't got time to do, 3 years ago when we built in an extra 20 minutes at the end of every day to do some extra guided reading and some independent reading. We're going to have to cut maybe half of that now and replace it with handwriting practice. What happens 3 years later? Reading results go down, handwriting gets better, and the cycle continues. And that's a really simplistic version. Do that, but now with like 12 other subjects at the same time.
Vocabulary in the afternoon. We've got a real big push on, teaching children pre-vocabulary units of work so that when it comes to doing history, they already know what a sarcophagus is. That sounds great.
Oh, no, but now they're really bad at like understanding chronology.
Yeah.
So actually, because we spent too much time on vocabulary. So now we really need to go back and we need to like explicitly teach them lots of links between all the different topics, and we just build 10 minutes in every day to show them this links to this last topic. Because
where's that 10 minutes coming in? The 10 minutes times table practice we get in the morning. That's got to go.
Times table's gone down.
Yeah, that's got to go. Times table's gone down. What are we going to do? I need to bring times table back.
Yeah.
I guess we can't do that reading anymore. It's just a big circle.
But don't worry, we didn't, because we're going to work on times tables now. We're going to build in more times tables time into our maths lessons. We get to the end of the year, their reasoning and problem solving is awful. No. We've been doing too much on the foundations. Right, scrap the times table. It just goes on and on. And when the cycle gets back round to the first one, that's when I think teachers start to completely lose faith in the system. That's when you get this, it gets labeled a lot, I think, as complacency. Like, older teachers, they just don't want to do it anymore.
No.
Yeah, they don't want to do it because they know ultimately it's a waste of time. And it was just pick one. Just pick one. I'm sure there are some schemes that are objectively better than others, right? But what we can't do is be like, we'll be able to teach everything to maximum efficiency, 100% for all areas of the curriculum. The curriculum's too big. There's not enough hours in the day to do it. That is not me saying increase the hours in the day. That's not going to be a good thing to do. But there is too much curriculum to teach. It's impossible to keep up with.
So I think in general, when we have these ups and downs and we think back, I think we always tend to convince ourselves again, okay, right, it is time to quit, because we're at that level now where we're like, we know all the positives like the back of our hand. It's the reason we've done it for 10 years. If those positives didn't exist, we would have stopped after 2. Okay, so we know those positives exist. Talked about the negative bits, the things in general that make us think that we know. That's why we quit, and I think why we're making the right decision. But my question to you now is really specific, because there would have been a point in your career where you went from complaining adequately about something, like saying it's my job, it's normal to complain in the job, how we can improve things. So there's always going to be people out there in jobs who say, well, that's silly, isn't it? They're not necessarily going to quit.
Sure.
Was there a moment where you actually thought to yourselves, I am going to quit?
Yeah, like a moment where the illusion of this job was broken, where I started thinking, oh, maybe I don't want to do this forever. Like you said, it wasn't just normal gripes. It was like a fundamental, I don't agree with this. I have an exact moment I can tell you about right now. And it was the first time I was ever told to put a Post-it note in a piece of work. And let's be really honest and specific about why this happens. And everyone in teaching will know this, right? The only reason I'd put a Post-it note in on a piece of writing, specifically here we're thinking about, is because I don't want anyone to think that I've given that feedback to the child. I want to pretend, I want it to look like a child has thought of this correction or this editing to their writing themselves, and they've edited it in their green pen or their purple pen or whatever your school does themselves, because at that point, right, it can still be assessed.
Right.
If, in our assessment framework, if there is teacher marking on the page, the rule is, okay, you can't use that for assessment then because you have guided them, you've told them to make that change. So obviously it's not independent writing. So the first time I was ever told, and I'm saying this honestly because I know basically every teacher ever has been in this situation, right? That to mark a piece of work in a way that disguised it as the children doing it and not be doing it completely broke my illusion of what the point of teaching is.
Right.
It made me think, oh, you don't have the best interest of the kids at heart at all. It's your own interest. It's the school's data that matters. It actually matters more than the child's progress. I get it now. And that really broke it for me and sowed the seed of doubt as to whether I can be in this system forever.
Do you think there's a place for that at all, ever? Or do you think fundamentally, if we're pretending that we haven't given children feedback to jump through a hoop, do you think that is fundamentally wrong?
Fundamentally wrong. There is absolutely no place for it. There are no use cases of someone putting a Post-it note on a child's piece of writing to tell them how to correct something that isn't fundamentally cheating.
Yeah, completely agree. And we talked about this a lot. It is cheating. And I think a lot of schools justify it because they'll say, and I'm interested to hear your pushback on this, they'll say, yeah, okay, but it's no different to just verbal feedback, right? Like if I was walking around the room and just said to them, oh, check this. But am I right in thinking, is that acceptable or is that also cheating?
That's also with an independent piece of writing.
Exactly.
I don't know how people how people are misinterpreting the word independent.
Yeah.
It's like, just think about the word for a second before you do anything. If it's verbal feedback written on a Post-it note or written in their book, it's not independent if you have told them what to do.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely.
And that's different to, you can give them a piece of paper and tell them to plan. That's not telling them what to do. But by telling them what to do, I mean telling them what to write, as in like specifically their creative ideas, their sentence structure. That's what we're not supposed to do. You know, the 3 weeks of lessons beforehand, that's okay because you have to teach the children how to do it. But when it comes to that one independent piece of writing, it's independent. You have to leave them alone and they have to go from the start of that process to the end of that process by themselves.
Can you imagine being sat in a maths sats paper next to a child and then on Post-it notes scribbling down how to work things out and putting it down?
Yeah.
Then a child looking at it and going, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then taking the Post-it notes out. It was themselves.
Yeah.
It was themselves. We're going to mark it. Well, it's no different to verbal feedback. Yeah, that would be cheating in a test as well, wouldn't it?
Sounds insane, doesn't it, that? But that is literally what is happening. Just because it's not in a test environment and we do it through moderation, people think they can get away with it. And you know what some schools do? They're like, oh, we'll get around it. We won't use Post-it notes. We'll do tracing paper. No, it's not the Post-it note that's the problem. It's the concept. Oh, we don't do Post-it notes or tracing paper. We just have separate books. I've heard of schools having 3 books before.
Oh my gosh.
I actually spoke to someone recently.
For writing?
For writing. They had a draft book that was like a scrapbook.
Yeah.
They had their actual English book, which is where they did their first draft in. I know this sounds mental.
Yeah.
And then they had their publishing book, which is where they wrote up their final copy.
Cheated.
Between the 3 books, it basically just allowed the teacher complete freedom to somewhere in that process they could just give them the exact feedback they need and just manufacture that independent.
And you know what's insane, by the way? All of this happens in loads of schools, and still only 13% of children in year 6 are graded F.
Oh my god! I'm going to rant about this if you don't stop me. But let's just think about this for a second then. So SATS data this year, right? If we're looking at the kind of greater depth bar. In reading and maths, it's around 30%. I think reading was 33% and maths was 26%, if I remember rightly. That's really sad, right? That's getting greater depth. In writing, it's 13%. Doesn't that just scream at you that even with all this, even though the fact that we all know this happens in so many schools, all of this cheating through writing, we're still only getting 13% of greater depth writers. That to me screams the bar is clearly way too high. The bar is astronomically too high. How can it be so much lower than the other subjects consistently? Every year, by the way, the last 5 years, it's been 13%.
Even before COVID, the gap wasn't as big, but there was a gap there. And if you go back to 2016-17, 15% were greater depth writers. And this year, 13% are greater depth writers. So we can look at the move and how it's changed and stuff, COVID, etc. But fundamentally, that does absolutely show the bar's too high. And I guess what you're saying is your moment was, oh, I need to play this game.
Yeah, I don't want to play the game. It was more like I was happy playing the game before, the game of teaching, whatever that is. And yeah, I had my gripes within it. But when I'm outside, when my fundamental morals and values of what I think teaching is are no longer even in the boundaries of the game anymore, I'm like, oh, it broke it for me. It completely broke the illusion. So I waffled a long time there, Dylan. I want to hear about your moment. Did you have a moment similar, or?
I've been thinking all the way through because I often go for generic vibes, don't I, about why it's good or why it's bad. But if I'm trying to pick a specific moment, it was when I kind of became sentient as to what I was being asked to do in progress meetings. Okay. So let me explain. What wound me up and winds me up massively is when children are being given to me as a list from the top down, because they form part of a predetermined group and I need to spend all my time focusing on them in my lessons.
Right, okay.
So as a teacher, my moral compass is very simple. If I teach a lesson to a group of children, whether it's 15 of them or 30 of them, if someone doesn't understand something, I will go and help them. If someone still doesn't understand something, we'll do an intervention group or I'll focus on them next lesson. My whole outlook is if a child needs help, I'll give it to them. If they understand something, I'll stretch them. It's as simple as that. On the spot,
it's adaptive, right?
It
changes. It could be different children every day.
And I think that's good practice. It should be different children every day, right? But what happens is you sit in a pupil progress meeting and then we look at these arbitrary lines we've made up. So you're in a meeting with senior leadership, and I know why they focus on it because it's important that school get data at the right points and stuff. I think that's broken. But then I'm told, okay, look, we've got this group of 6 children and they're hovering on their assessments halfway through the year, 2 or 3 marks away from the expected standard in year 4. Right. So if we just put all of our focus and our limited resources on these children, we might move them into the next band and that will look great for data.
Yeah, huge net gain for data.
Huge net gain for data, looks amazing. But what that means is that every lesson, I'm looking at a predetermined group of children that I need to give all my resources and help to, just to get them past an arbitrary line. When actually, if someone is secure expected, right in the middle of that, and no danger of dropping at all, they're still just as important to me. And more importantly, I think, the children who are below, who have no chance of moving up at all, they're just as important to me as well. So if I'm going to be in a classroom and being told, well, there's an arbitrary line we've drawn as to what's expected for year 4 or year 5 or year 6 or whatever it might be, so we need to focus on these children, I tell you what, their 5 percentage point move is just as important to me as a 5 percentage point move of someone nowhere near a boundary that we've made up. So as a teacher, fundamentally, I hated that. And that really planted the seed of doubt because, again, very good, lovely, nice people who are trying to do the right thing, who have just a different opinion and different pressures maybe than me, are saying to do this. I don't fundamentally dislike these people at all, and I understand why they're doing it. And that's why, for me, this was a watershed moment where I said, I fundamentally think different and don't agree with this, so I need to not do this job anymore.
So my analogy then of the kind of game applies to you as well, doesn't it? Really, I was thinking about it when you were talking. For you, the game within teaching is, as a teacher, I should prioritize giving help to children who need it the most. Right. And unfortunately, the actual game that you're saying here that you became privy to is, as a teacher, you should prioritize the children who can give us the best net gain in data.
Right.
And you were like, no, that's not why we should be teaching. Yeah. And that kind of broke the illusion for you as well.
Yeah. That percentage point move past an arbitrary line in the middle, to me, isn't as important as a percentage point move for anyone, just in making them better. Yeah. If you have 3 children, right, child A, child B, and child C, and they all make 15 percentage point move in their progress, I'm equally happy and chuffed for all of them. Yeah. If only one of them goes past the boundary, only one of them shows up on your data.
Yeah. And that was the most important one.
And that's the most important one. You should have done that. Well done. Like, no, the others made the same amount of progress. Yeah. And I'm just as proud and happy for them as well.
And when our limited resources are disproportionately channeled towards just one of those children, and you could even argue that actually, if we were going to be disproportionate, maybe the child at the lower end probably needed that support more than anyone because they're way below the standard. We really need to be helping them get up to it. Yeah. But it just doesn't happen, does it?
It just doesn't happen. And I think that fundamentally, I just thought, we are. Here's how we can sum it up. I think we both realized that we're playing a game.
Yeah.
And the game doesn't follow the rules we want to follow. maybe that's just us entering adulthood and being aware of things around us. Everything's a game. Maybe that's true. But yeah, fundamentally didn't match up. And I think we've spoken a lot about how over the last couple of years, I think it's moved from us having genuine gripes about the job, things that we think could be changed and improved, to now maybe even more stuff where we're just like, oh, okay, this is fundamental to this job and I disagree or I don't want to do it. So actually, I think we've made the right call.
Yeah. So at the start of this chat, we said, are we making a mistake? I think the answer's pretty clear.
Yeah.
We're not making a mistake.
I don't think so, because do you know what? Someone might say to you, oh, you've got your tutoring and your podcast. Of course it's easy for you to quit. Well, yeah, because I thought for many years now, I'm going to put this extra work in, build the podcast up, build our tutoring up, to have the choice to quit.
Yeah.
And worst comes to worst, okay, it doesn't work out, and we try it for a year or two, we'll go back into teaching if we have
good
to.
intentions are always there. Like, I don't want to quit.
No.
I actually don't want to. Like, we started this podcast to try and make a change. I speak up in staff meetings. I speak up to all the people I can to try and make a change. But like you said, there's only so many years you can watch people be like, yeah, that would be a good change, wouldn't it? And then not do it. And you think, I don't think I can make this difference I need to make. And I don't want to play this game anymore. This is just, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss the bits I love about it. But the bits I love about it aren't in the boundaries of the game anymore. So I can't do it.
Last thing then, and we've spoken about this a lot. Lots of ECTs listening might be thinking, oh gosh, these guys are quitting. They think they're doing the right thing. Would you change anything? Do you regret anything?
What do you mean?
In your career, do you regret going into teaching? What you're talking directly now to an ECT, okay? I would say to them, it's the best job.
Yeah,
it's
not
the best job
at all. I regret nothing.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I have no regrets. I absolutely love this career.
Yeah.
And I've just said I wish I could do it for longer.
How can we sit here and say it's the best job, but then say all that? But you know what? I stand by it, because the moments you get in that job are unbelievable, an unbelievable experience. You might not be doing it for the whole of your life.
No.
Okay. But I would definitely, if you're the right personality, throw yourself into it.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you again next time for another episode, all the way through the summer. Weekly, baby. Let's go. See you then.
See ya.